Merry Christmas, everyone. I just wanted to take a minute and say Merry Christmas. And if I don't see you before the beginning of the new year, I hope everyone has a happy and prosperous new year. So another thing I was wanting to do was I was going to have a Christmas version of Uncle Tom's Story Time. As you know, I've told the story before. Some of you've heard it, some of you haven't. Some of you have not. But this story takes place back in 1966 when I was 9 or 10 years old. And we lived in Charleston, South Carolina, which is a suburb of, we lived in Goose Creek, South Carolina, which is a suburb of Charleston, South Carolina. And let me tell you how we did our Christmases back then. I would have been like 9 or 10. I had a younger brother that was 3 years younger than me, and then I have another brother that's 5 years older than I am. So the way Christmas Eve worked around our house was we got my younger brother and I got a present that was wrapped from our parents. And my older brother, who was a teenager, he's a teenager. Santa Claus didn't come see him anymore. So he got all his presents from my mom and dad. And we got to open our present from our mom and dad. And my older brother got to open all his presents from our mom and dad. If he wanted to. If he didn't, if he wanted to wait and save some on for Christmas morning, he could do that too. But anyway, like I said, I was about 9 or 10 years old. And the word on the street was that Santa Claus wasn't real, that our mom and dad did, put out all the toys and whatnot. So I kind of hinted around to my mom about it, and she says, well, when you stop believing in Santa Claus, then he quits coming to see you. So this specific Christmas, my dad decided we were all going to go with some other families, and we were going over to the Naval Shipyard. And what happened was that back in this time, Charleston had a huge naval base, and they had all their ships come in during the holidays, and they would decorate them with Christmas lights. And you could go over to the base, and you drive in one gate, and you drive along this concrete dock down by all the ships. You could see them all lit up, and then you would drive all the way down to the other end, and you'd leave the Navy base. Well, we went over and saw the ships after it got dark. Saw all the ships, and I guess it was, hell, now it's about an hour drive because of the traffic. But back then, it was probably a 30-minute drive. So we drove over, did in the shipyard, and drove back. Well, when we got back to the house, Santa Claus had already been to our house. All our toys were under the trees. And this would have been like 9:30 at night. Santa Claus normally didn't hit our house till after midnight. And thusly, about 4 o'clock in the morning, we were all up. But anyway, man, I was shocked. And I went back to school and said, man, we were away from the house and Santa Claus came to our house. And then, time passed and I became a teenager and Santa Claus didn't come see me anymore. I got presents from my mom and dad. And I guess I must have been 19 years old. And we were talking about it. My mom was talking about the night that Santa Claus came and saw us while we were out of the house. And I said, who did that? Now this is, like I said, I was 18 or 19 years old, so this was 9 or 10 years later. And our next door neighbors, Charlotte and Randy Davis, they had really young children, or aged young child. I guess Randy Jr. was born then. Anyway, when we left, my mom and dad had put all our toys and stuff in our camper. And so they went over and got everything out, put it under the trees, and, left the house. And like I said, it was 10 years later before I ever really thought about saying, hey, what's the story? Who did this? So anyhow, if you have, times where kids didn't grow up like they do now. Boys 9 and 10 years old still played with trucks in the dirt. They still played with G.I. Joes. All like that kind of stuff. Now they don't. They're ready for marriage and children at 9 and 10. But anyway, I just wanted to share that little story with you. And you might have one that's coming up to that age. That's, they're starting the no Santa Claus deal. And you might have to pull a fast one on them. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the little story. I do hope y'all have a Merry Christmas. Or some people that are like my Australian friends that are, it's Christmas Day there. It's Christmas Eve now. It's 10:28 in the evening. But anyway, hope everybody has a Merry Christmas. I hope Santa Claus is good to them. And we'll see you later. Bye.